We have Zarah Fairn taking on Jacqueline Cavalcanti. Zarah Fairn is 6-5 overall, 2-3 in her last 5. She is riding a 3-fight skid. She's taking on Jacqueline Cavalcanti, 5-1 in her entire career, 4-1 in her last 5. She is riding a 3-fight win streak into her UFC debut. This is a pretty straightforward breakdown. You can see the line movement. Jacqueline's line absolutely took off. This is a weird card. A lot of people we have never heard of. I have had to watch more tape on this card than any card I could ever remember because I didn't recognize more than half of the names on this card. Zarah Fairn is a very, very technical striker. Her takedown defense kind of sucks. Her ground game is almost non-existent, but she's a very good striker. She is 0-3 in the UFC, but she's had a rough go. She had Megan Anderson in her UFC debut. Then she fought Felicia Spencer, who's a tried and true vet. And then she fought Josiah Nunes, who hits like a truck. And she's definitely better than that record, but the problem is she's a little older. She probably got into this a little too late. And you can see that she's just starting to slow down. She's coming off that decision loss to Josiah Nunes where it was very clear that she is a good technical striker, but just a little slower, a little tired, just a little older, unfortunately. Take it on Jacqueline. Jacqueline's a rangy striker. She uses footwork. She feints really well. She does a good job working to your legs and then working your legs early. It'll slow you down, and then she'll come up top to the head. She keeps her striking technical, and when she finds a rhythm, she is going to work forward. She is going to pressure. She may even work in the occasional takedown. Definitely a striker, but she doesn't really shy away from cage control, trips, or ground and pound. If they're there, she'll take them. Listen, if this is a few years ago, I would take Zarah. I think she's the better, more technical striker here. And I don't know how disputable that could possibly be. The problem is she does slow down pretty quickly. And she doesn't really have the cardio to keep going. She's a little, just a little bit behind in a lot of these exchanges with these younger, faster fighters. So Jacqueline's going to be the pick. I know Jacqueline is like a giant parlay piece for a ton of people. But the reality is Zarah Fairn is the better fighter. She's just a little older, a little slower. So Jacqueline should win literally with youth and energy. But I'm not touching minus 365 on a UFC debut that has 6 professional fights. I can't do it. What do you think, Jakey boy?
I touched it. I mean, there's no doubt about that. I did touch that line because I do like Jacqueline in this fight. And Zarah Fairn, somebody mentioned in the chat too. Zarah is listed as 36 years old on SureDog, on Wikipedia. On Tapology, she's 39. But I'm pretty certain that in that Josiane fight, they said that she was 40 years old in that fight.
Yeah.
So it's like
that's why
so I think she is on the 39, 40-year-old, somewhere around there. So she is definitely getting old, and you could see that in her last fight. I mean, she was coming off a long layoff, and the big question mark, and she was a huge underdog, and the big question mark was how is she going to look at 39 years old after a 3-year layoff? And in the first 2 or 3 minutes of that fight, every single person, including me, that had Josiane Nunes was like, oh my God. Because I can't remember exactly what I had, but I think I was pretty loaded up on Josiane. Like, oh, she's going to smoke her. Even at the face-offs when she's like, a foot and a half taller, it's like, it's no big deal. Josiane just got to knock her out. And then it was like, holy shit. And Zarah, yeah, she looked good. She looked sharp. She looked fast. She looked powerful. But as you mentioned, she did slow down. I mean, she slowed down. There was a lot of volume there, so there was a reason for that. But she still slowed down and really could not recover in that fight. And Jacqueline seems good enough to kind of weather that early storm, because I'm sure the same thing's going to happen in front of the home fans. Coming off, she's 6-5. This might be her last fight at home. She's probably going to come out super, super aggressive. Jacqueline's going to have to weather the storm, but I think she's going to be fine, because that last girl that she fought in the LFA, I think would beat Zarah still, and she beat her pretty handedly. I mean, she even dropped her like in the first, second round on like 4 straight punches. It was like one of the crazy, like, boom, dropped her. She stood there, boom, dropped her again. It was wild. So she definitely has some power as well. I think Jacqueline can weather the early storm. Zarah's going to come out hot in front of the home fans and do probably what happened last time. She's going to look good. She's going to slow down. And Jacqueline, rather than Josiane was like trying to throw bombs, and she's like 5 foot tall. She couldn't really hit her. Jacqueline would just kind of, piece her apart, pick her apart. I think she'd get a finish in the first or second round. So I'm higher, I guess, than most on the Jacqueline's side. But, maybe that's just because she's the first person I've seen fighting that speaks Portuguese. Usually it's the Brazilian Portuguese. I'm interested in the Portuguese.
There you go.
The motherland.
She really is. I mean, it is a shame because this would be a phenomenal Zarah spot if I could trust the cardio. And you know what? The reason I'm not touching Jacqueline here is because, as you mentioned, Zarah looked good in that last fight until she slowed down. But that was after a layoff. That layoff is gone. She's fighting at home. This might be the let me train my ass off and be ready to go for my big last retirement fight, and I'll be in shape. Because if she has cardio, she wins this fight. The problem is we just don't know.
And we could have some butterflies on the other side. I mean, this is UFC debut, right, as you mentioned. But this is a little bit different, too, because the last card that was in France, those fans were fucking wild. If you don't remember, watch the Gane Tai Tuivasa fight. And they were wild from start to finish. So they're going to be loud for the French woman in Zarah. So, but I'm not worried about it. I mean, look at that. She doesn't seem like she gets flushed by anything.
We're both on the Cavalcanti side, but I'm not spending any money. Sounds like Jacob is. DraftKings-wise, I'm going to avoid that $9,400 because Zarah is tough. Jose Nunez isn't putting her away. I don't think Jacqueline Cavalcanti is. I'm surprised you think she will.
Yeah, it's just exhaustion. She can just layer on the shots. Josiana's not a volume. She's just like trying to head hunt. So you can just hold your guard up and take those punches, especially when she was getting beat on early, so it wouldn't really pop to that. I don't think that Jacqueline's going to get beat on, and she can just lay on volume and lay on decent power and put her away. When people get tired, they just stop.
Well, we got the same pick, but different.
It doesn't matter if I'm getting tired, if I'm cramping up, I'm doing this right here. I'm grabbing a banana. I'm keeping it moving, baby.
Yeah, no, you definitely strike me as the never say die kind of guy. Just a real ankle biter.
What's the TikTok? Never say what? Or never get what? What's the thing that everyone's doing now?
I have no clue what you're talking about.
Let me check this sometime out.
Okay, you should mash that thing up in your mouth louder and closer to the microphone.
I choose my mouth closed. That's all I can do.
Sounds like you're a dog with a
never back down. Never what? I told you somebody would know. You never seen those TikToks?
No. My TikTok feed is just all funny shit. Zero inspirational anything. It's just all
these are funny
shit.
TikToks. So.
Oh, well, yeah. Maybe it's not that funny, and you haven't sent me any, so thanks for that. Anyway, guys, WeWantPicks.com. It's only $10 a month. Become a premium member. You'll unlock everything you could ever want, including Jacob's bet on this fight, which I disagree with. But you can unlock everything you have ever wanted to be successful and to have more fun watching these fights. WeWantPicks.com at the top. Click, become a member.